Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side so once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one to get all the insight. Now today's video we will continue on talking about the expansions of the employment sponsor visa that was announced last Friday. Okay, now obviously it's a good news. However, it does have an impact on those potential or existing employment working visas in the regional of Australia. So let's just rewind a little bit back and have a look at what was offered. And what we're going to do in this video is we're going to compare of the upcoming employment sponsor visa with a pathway to permanent residency with the regional employment visa. So let's just jump back a little bit onto the 3rd of November's news, as you can see on the screen. So if you have missed it, you may want to rewind. Just click on probably 2 or 3 video prior in my channel. You may have a look at the detail there. So I'm not going to go into the detail of this visa expansion news today, but briefly it provides on the 25th of November, which is set here, the government of Australia is looking to expand pathway to permanent residency for all the employment sponsor visa. Now that will include people or the existing and the potential, the future visa applicant who is on the occupation list on the short-term skill occupation list there. So there's no longer a differentiation between the medium, long-term and the short-term occupation, because all of them, as long as you got an employer in Australia who is looking to sponsor you 2 years down the track, you will be eligible to transfer into a permanent residency. That's basically in a nutshell. Now, how would that actually impact the regional sponsorship? Now, if we just go back a little bit, a couple of years ago, now it used to be the regional provide a better incentive. So back probably 10 years ago, let's go back a little bit more, the regional employment sponsorship, you don't need you can have I think you don't even need to meet competent English back then. Your English level, it can be exempt, and there is no work experiences required, and there's no skill assessment needed as well, as long as you got an employer in regional Australia who is looking to employ you, provide an offer to you. Great, you get permanent residency straight away. Now, during the last 10 years, what has been reformed was that was all gone. Okay, they think it's a scam. Too many people come to getting a job in regional, and then they just escape from regional and going back to the city, which was the fact. Okay, so what they did was they removed that visa. Together they removed the 457 visa. They introduced 482. Together they introduced 494, which is the visa that a lot of regional employer is looking to sponsor for their workers. But the complications back then, it still existed now. Maybe we just go in there and have a look how the complication that will be in compare to what it's already been offered. So in order for you to actually get a 494, they call employer sponsor stream under the skill employer sponsor regional visa subclass 494. So no longer, if you got an employer in regional Australia offer you a job, no longer that you will get a permanent residency directly. Okay, you get a 494, which is a temporary visa, but you do get an additional access to Medicare. And I think for school kids as education as well, which is good. It's almost the same as how they treated the Kiwi, the New Zealanders coming in a special category visa under subclass 444. But let's have a look at the criteria here. Okay. Obviously, you need to get sponsored, so that's pretty obvious. You need to get relevant skill, work experience, and you need to get positive skill assessment. Now, understand that 482, a lot of the qualification is not required to go through skill assessment, but 494, you need to get skill assessment, and you need to get at least 3 years of work experience. So let me read that. That's pretty tiny here. Let me just magnify that. Well, it's still tiny, but anyway, I'm going to read that out to you. It says you must have been employed in nominated occupation for at least 3 years of full-time basis of skill level required by a nominated occupation. So what does that mean? And that has to be within the last 5 years. So that means that you get skill assessment and you still need to get 3 years of work experiences. Now, problem here is if you do have skill assessment and work experiences of 3 years, why don't you just go on 186 and get permanent residency and find a job in the suburban area, in the city, in Brisbane, in Sydney, and Melbourne? Done. Interestingly, well, why would you still go regional? Obviously, the only incentive for these people will be those one who holds the occupation that is not on the medium or long term. So that is the only way they are required to go to regional. But again, it's not as incentive as you see. Now for the employer, they still need to go through market statutory rate, and a regional certifying body need to assess it. So there's an additional government body or quasi-government body required to assess it. So additional fees and time again, okay, and all of that is consumed with a lot of costings as well. And then not just that, let's go to the permanent residence skill regional visa subclass 191. So what does this say? This requires you comply with condition of eligible visa, and that is satisfied income, and it requires you, where does it say? I think you need to be eligible. See here, okay, you must hold eligible visa that you apply and have held the visa at least what, 3 years before you apply to become a permanent resident. So now let's have a comparisons here. Now starting from the 25th of November 2023 this year, which is going to be about 2 weeks to go. Okay, if you got an employer and you go to Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, you know, all the suburban area, or you're going to be in regional area, you probably don't even think about applying for regional employment sponsorship anymore, because going through 494, you need to get skill assessment, you need to have at least 3 years of work experiences, you need to get competent English, and you need to go through regional certifying body, and you still need to pay for all these costs and time required. And then 3 years later, after you work for that employer, you're eligible to transfer the pathway under subclass 191. Why well, after 25th of November, no one's gonna do that anymore. Everybody's gonna do 482, no skill assessment required, okay? And then they are expanded to the short-term occupation list, and you only need to do work for 2 years in order to transfer yourself into a permanent residency. I'm sorry. So what's gonna happen to the regional employers? I really don't know. There's no more incentive for regional anymore. Now, probably we thought about 491, but look, the state nomination has been crashed by the Australian government. 70% of quota has been wiped out, and there's technically limited people got picked or invited by the state nomination because they are lack of the quota. So, your choice. What is your think? Probably you can leave comment right down below, and I'll see you next video. Goodbye.